So I'm reusing the slides from Technology User Group, or ILS Ops. This is technology. Can you hear me? Do I have it on? Okay. I'm on a mic, so I don't know. This is weird. So I'm reusing the slides from ILS Ops, which I presented on St. Patrick's Day. So some of the colors are green for St. Patrick's Day, but I took out most of the St. Patrick's Day jokes. So most of them, yeah. So there was food, no beer. So like Irish stew and stuff. So most of you, I think, know me, or if you have not met me, I've talked to you on the help desk. I'm Cheryl. So I'm your trusty ILS guru most days. So we did a upgrade to our Horizon client, and more than just a client, we did the database, both databases, Horizon and the ComRes database is a community resource database that I know a handful of you use. Most of you search it. A couple of you are adding things into it. It's its own separate instance of Horizon, and it has its own online catalog called NewsDB. So both NewsDB and the old IPAC, which those of you who've been around for a while remember the old IPAC as our online catalog before Enterprise, before Aqua Browser, we had IPAC. And those were both updated as well. And the IPAC is still kicking around. We still have to keep it going for requests mainly at this point. All your requests go through the IPAC. You may or may not have once seen a middle tier error here or there. That's the IPAC. So, and then we had a SIP and an InSIP upgrade, and those are important for SIP if you're using any SIP services, self-checks, Freegal. I don't know, Austin has a bunch that I'm blanking on at the moment. Yeah, the laptop anytime, thanks. InSIP has mostly to do with MinLink and making MinLink, the MinLink software up in Minnesota, up in the cities, talk to Horizon and make things move fluidly. So those were the big upgrades, but the most exciting upgrade was the web services upgrade. Woo! So we are now, actually I should update that. We're actually on 2016.4, not 2015.10, because we've had an upgrade since this upgrade. But that was a big one to 2015.10, and I'm going to get into why that's a big deal in a few minutes. But the Horizon upgrade was done on Sunday night, March 5th, and then NewsDB and ComRes, we ran into a few problems, so that just took a little bit longer to get those worked out. But we do our upgrades for Horizon on Saturday night, I think I said Sunday before, and that's mainly Rick doing a lot of Citrix stuff and me working with Cersei Dynex to get everything working when you guys aren't working. So we always try to do those in the evening on Saturday, and then if something does go wrong, we have Sunday morning to get things working before you guys come back into the office. So we did actually have a few hiccups on Saturday night, but none of you knew because we fixed it before Sunday when you opened. So
now you just told them.
Yeah, except James, he knew because he heard me grumbling. So yeah. Okay, so that was done in March, and so that web services, I don't know about these colors. Things got really weird with these things. So it really is a big deal that we've got web services. And what web services is this whole other server and this whole other, I don't know if I can really describe it very well. Maybe think of a shortcut, I think is the best way. It's allowing Horizon to talk directly to the internet, I think is maybe the simplest way to say it. And you create little calls like get or delete or update might be some of the calls. And so what that's going to enable is us to move Horizon into that browser web world. Instead of having this like giant, essentially, client that you guys are accessing through Citrix, we're moving into a browser-based world with Horizon. And that's going to be the second presentation that we're doing later on after the break, the mobile circ, the Blue Cloud cataloging, and Blue Cloud analytics. So web services is allowing for all that stuff. It means another server. It means more things that can break. And what they're doing is transitioning all the web services that were on IPAC over to this new server. And so this was a big one where they moved a lot of stuff over, including PayPal. So, but we won't get into that. So that was a big deal. All right, so the bug fixes that were in this, looks like my slides got a little thrown off, but so the hold notifications previously in 752 would just say, if I go over here, this requester will be notified by mail, even though I'm email, right? All my hold slips go to chill@selco.info. And you can see over here, it now says email. So that was something several of us had asked about. It was a bug. They fixed it in this update. Some other bug fixes that I know, the first one, some people don't feel like it's a bug, but I'm, at the mercy of the vendor. So this is the check-in window, shows that borrower option, causes the current block window to display. So this is when you check in a book, and if the borrower had a block, if you had show borrower, show blocks checked in the CKI window at the top, would pop up with the borrower's block window. That was considered a bug because it slows down workflow, and it's designed, the check-in window is not designed to interact with blocks. That's how they put it. The check-in window is really designed for larger libraries that are checking in a stack of books and checking their blocks are being checked by either the checkout process or your notices process or reports. So that was changed so that that doesn't do that anymore. If you want to see the borrower block, when you're checking in, you have to hit the show block button at the bottom of the screen in Horizon. Renewed lost items not added to borrowers all items out list, which I've never heard anyone even complain about, so that's fixed. And then this was actually something that we had noticed a while ago, and we got a bug fix for that last July, maybe last June. It had to do with how notices were printing and things weren't being returned the correct way. So, so now the exciting stuff, right? The enhancements. Your scroll wheel mouse. Woo! So, yeah. So have you guys noticed that that's working? Yeah. I noticed, I went in to use Horizon the first day, right? Yep. And I was like, oh, this is working now. I don't have to hit the arrow. So yes, we are now up to 1993 with Horizon. So scroll wheel mouse is working. And then you probably noticed the configure search results returned. So this was, I'm trying to remember how it was before, but I'm sure somebody in this audience remembers. I think if you did a search and the search produced a whole bunch of results, you would get the first 300, I think it was, and then you would hit resume and get like 30 more. I might have the numbers off there, but yeah. So now we're able to configure that. I've set it so that it's up to 900. So unless you're doing a search that has more than 900 items, that resume button is basically gone. Cancellation of trap holds at check-in. You've probably noticed this too. When you do a check-in, you get that. You can either hit OK, or now you can hit a cancel button. And that cancel button is new. If you wanted to cancel a hold, you have to hit OK and then check it back in a second time and cancel it at that point. So just a little workflow thing they did. So this is my screenshot of the resume button. I did a title keyword. That's been pretty much the only way I've been able to produce more than 900 results, or a huge subject heading, I suppose. So I did a keyword search for baseball, and I have the best baseball team in the world highlighted.
Go Cubs!
No, I cut the Cubs off on purpose. So.
You don't have last year's World Series winners.
No, because they're American League. Who cares? So, all right, so you won't really see the resume button unless you get to that 900. So you probably mostly have noticed that. There are some other things that changed. I know Becky sent an email out to the catalogers about these. There's some RDA control vocabulary that's been put in there. These are those 3, 3, 6, 7s, and 8s. They used to have to manually be entered. We're having Marchive enter them, so you guys aren't expected to enter them. But now, if you do an F12 in those fields, you will get the options. So they're treated like fixed fields at the top of the MARC record. View titles and authority entry. So if you're in an authority record, before you would have to go and search, do a secondary search. Now you can link right to the title list from the authority list. So there's a couple other minor cataloging things that I know Becky sent out. So I'm not going to go through those because if you're a cataloger, hopefully you've read the email. You probably. There are some things that are not applicable to us. Some of those bug fixes, I didn't even put all of them in there because there's some that just don't apply to us. Things that have to do with like the French version of Horizon, obviously we're not using. And then there's a new global max checkouts, which doesn't apply to us either because it does not override your CERC privilege. And I'm trying to remember what the exact wording of that CERC privilege is, max number of items out, I think it is. So it's kind of useless for us because we're doing things by location. So we're going to talk about two things a little bit more in depth. One was released yesterday, and I'm going to talk about that, and then Tyler's going to talk about patron photos. So there we go. Hey, look, I'm wearing the same shirt in that picture. So,
well, the sweater's not.
No, yeah, the sweater's nice. So yeah, it is a different look. Yeah. So, and the hair is different. So okay, I don't know how many of you got around to playing or trying it yesterday. But it works pretty straightforward, the email receipts, right? If you have email in your borrower record, it will show, right? There's my email address. If you don't have an email address like Donovan's, right? He does, actually. I took this out for the picture. It says no email address. So you can't, you won't really get confused. I hope, because it's pretty clear. And you can see the two checkout boxes. There are three things that control this. Your location table has a setting, and all of you have that turned on now. I turned that on yesterday. Your Citrix account controls the secondary. It's this one. So if you go up to Tools, Options, you'll see these two. And your allow emailing of checkout receipts has to be turned on. And that was kind of the delay. We needed to push that out to everybody via your Citrix accounts. So Rick actually did that on Sunday night. For most of you, a couple of you, I guess it didn't work. So I'll walk you through how to do it manually if you run into any problems. But once that second box is checked, which for most of you it is. Let's see if I go back. Then you'll get these two boxes here showing up, the email receipt, the print receipt. My account, I just have it defaulted to email because at my desk I don't have a printer, so or a receipt printer. But you can do both. You can have both selected at a time, and you can both email and print at the same time. And if you have both, let's see. And this is per checkout, right? So somebody walks up to the checkout desk with their box of or their stack of books. You can decide at that point, or they can decide whatever policies you want to have internally about asking the staff, not asking, or asking your patrons, not asking your patrons. That's for you guys to figure out how you're going to roll out email receipts. Some of you have talked about if your patrons have email in their borrow record, you want that box, you want the email checked, and you want the print unchecked, or you want them both checked. If you want a batch change like that, email the help desk, and we'll batch change everybody at your location. Does that make sense? Okay.
Cheryl, just real quick, do you mind? So when you do that...
Why does it always have to be him, right?
Yeah. Afterward, when you create a new borrower, will that be, you have to still manually check it then?
Yeah. So it will go by print. I think it defaults... Oh, I have to repeat the question. James asked, if you create a new borrower, will you have to then select email or print? You will have to select it. That's your question?
Right, so if you go through and batch change everybody, that's great, but then now when we start going forward with new borrowers,
Yeah, this
can
is.
you have it checked by default at that point, or?
I can answer that one.
Yeah, I think we could edit your view to do it if you wanted to. Is that what you were going to say?
Yes.
Yeah, I could edit your view.
By default, when you create a new borrower, there are options in the borrower record for print or email receipt, and we could just alter your fast add view for your location to have one of them checked, or both.
Yeah. So this, if I were to hit F6 and go into my borrower record right now, you would see email receipt, print receipt is another box in the borrower record right underneath, I think, pre-overdues and that kind of thing. So when you're creating the borrower, you can check the box or uncheck the box, or we can adjust your view, your template for your location, and make it checked, or make one of them or both of them checked by default. So just let us know, and we'll do that.
What would happen if it was checked by default and then you create a borrower that did not have email, like you didn't put it in, then what happens if you go to print a receipt and they don't have an email in the box? Oh, no.
So James asked, what happens if
Sorry.
you try to essentially set somebody with an email who doesn't have an email, and then send them an email, and you would get one of these errors depending on what you're trying to do. I tried all the errors. So this is if you had print and you don't have a receipt printer hooked up, borrower doesn't have an email address, and that's if you don't have anything selected within the borrower record, and you hit F11 with, in your checkout window. So you will get an error message that hopefully makes some sense to you, and you should not do that. So I think that's it. Oh, no, this is what it looks like, right? This is the testing database, so I don't really have these books checked out. I don't read a lot of romance novels, right?
Not at all.
Sure.
So this is I just hit F11 essentially, and then this pops up. Takes a couple seconds. Does take a little bit longer, if there's more items, but it doesn't take long. And it emails, and then you get this lovely notice. And ours comes from Cindy. Yours will not come from Cindy. And I use this as my barcode, so it would normally say the patron's barcode. I just have this in as a cheat, so I don't have to know my barcode. I shouldn't tell people that. Don't do that. So your email up here is coming from whatever location, whatever the email address is in your location table, which is the thing that got a little messed up yesterday because I had to change 90 of them and there was a data entry error. So that should be set now. And it's basically for most of you, if you're doing notices through us, it's the same as your notices email. So, and the location is surprisingly not tied to your borrower location. It's actually tied to your login location. So if you go up to change location, it'll pull that email address from another location. So don't do that either. So unless you want it to come from another location. Does that make sense? What I'm saying? So most of you don't change locations. Some of the schools do. I think that's it. Okay,
Yes,
yeah.
me.
So any questions on that before I sit down? Yep.
So if you don't hit F11 to print a receipt, they don't get the email?
No. Yeah, you have to hit F11. Still, like if you're printing, you still have to hit F11. So, yep. Is that it? Okay, I'm going to sit down.
Okay. I have a couple minor ones before we get to the borrower photos, mainly regarding the acquisitions module. So there are a few minor updates to now it goes into the acquisitions module in the last update. The main one first one of the two being the acquisitions PO. You now have the option to move it from the left to the right if you want to for your print purchase orders. I'm assuming so it fits in the window of one of those envelopes that has a little window in it. It is done by the location. If any of you using the acquisitions and actually printing out print POs, we can change that for you fairly easily. Actually, the other acquisition one makes no sense, so let's skip that. And then we have a change to the blocks. When you go to the borrower record and you print out all of their blocks, there's new default functionality that includes the borrower name and the total amount due at the top of the printout. Instead of just getting a random list of blocks with no sum on it when you print it off, you now get to see whose it is and how much they total owe. Okay, borrower photos. We turned these on almost 2 weeks ago now. So this is an optional service for you to use in the catalog. It basically allows you to see the photo of the borrower at the checkout window. I will show you a little live demonstration of this and how to upload the photo in just a minute. When it comes to the photos themselves, if you're doing it through Horizon, you can put in any photo really and then crop it down. Horizon will automatically reduce the size down to about 7 kilobytes, which is ridiculously small if you know anything about photos, but it saves us a lot of space in the database, and it doesn't need to be that big. If you're doing it through the B import process, which I'll talk about in a minute, we need the files that size to begin with. So when it comes to our instance of Horizon, the photos need to be uploaded through Citrix, which is actually kind of a good thing because it makes it fairly standard on how to do it. For those of you who have cataloging training, it's the same navigation scheme as it is for uploading records from OCLC. You need to go to the upload utility, although in this case it's a different location, and then navigate up through Citrix back into your computer or a flash drive or wherever the file is actually stored. It's a little bit deceptive because if you are actually on it, it looks like that regular Windows one that has like My Documents and My Downloads on the left. If you hit those, that will take you to the Citrix My Documents, not your computer's My Documents. So you need to be aware of that. When it comes to support, SELCO is willing to help you if there are any errors when it comes to getting through the Citrix part of it. But when it comes to getting the files onto your computer yourself, there are just so many ways. You can email it to yourself, you can take it from your phone, and you can Dropbox it to yourself, which is what I did this morning. You can take a webcam photo. So unfortunately, there's nothing we can really do to help you there because it is so varied. Now, the one other thing about this is the B import process. Most of you probably don't know about that name, but we do have the student record upload service available to our school districts in the region. That's using the B import tool. So what that basically is normally I get sent, the help desk gets sent a spreadsheet of information, and then we use this tool to upload it and update the database, based usually off of the student ID. We can add photos in using the B import process with this last update. The thing with this one is when it comes to it, the photos need to be processed before they go into Horizon rather than processed when saved into Horizon. So if we're going to upload photos for you using the B import process, they need to come to us pre-formatted, so they need to be 7 kilobytes or smaller. And I would say optimally they should be in a square shape, because if they aren't, Horizon will automatically crop it into a square shape with a black background in the other parts of the image. And then we need to have the name of the photo in the file on the spreadsheet. Other than that, I haven't actually done it en masse yet. I have only done it on a few select profiles because it's kind of a pain to get a bunch of photos. I know that it works. I know how it works. I haven't tested it for a huge group, so it'll be interesting to see what actually happens. Okay, so, right, I put my mouse on. Uploading a photo into Horizon. So if we open the checkout window, you'll see that the checkout window has changed a couple times now since the upgrade, which is good because if you were really astute, you probably noticed that one of the letters is being cut off before we implemented these changes. But you see we have the blank spot here for the photo. So I'm going to load a borrower record. And you see the photo fills in for what's already on the record. And I'm going to change this one just now for you, although I do like my bunny. So we're going to go in and edit the record. F6 is my keyboard shortcut. You can also go to the borrower, edit borrower from the top. And then we're going to go to the bottom of the borrower record because this is the very last thing in here. To update the photo, we come in here and go to update the image. And then it brings up a little Citrix upload thing. There is a slight difference on my screen right now. I have the connect to webcam option. You won't be able to see that for the most part because you're connecting through Citrix. But at this point, you go to Get Photo File, and then it brings this up. And you see this is Documents. This is not my Documents. This is the one on... Oh, actually it is because I'm on a local install. My mistake. For you, that would be the Citrix one. So come in here, and then I'm going to navigate to my desktop because that's where the photo is. Users, T. Irvin, desktop. Would help if I remember what I named the file. Oh, there it is. First screen. Open photo. Then we get this. You see, as the photo is a rectangle to begin with, it automatically gives me this cropping area here to change it to what it's going to be. So I'm going to move it up there. And now I'm going to save the photo. And it moves here. And now I need to save the borrower record. Okay. Now, if I close, you're going to see that it's still the old image. That's because this is still the load from the previous time the borrower record was brought up. If they didn't have a photo, it would be that gray image in there. But when I bring up the record again, it changes to what the image was just saved to. Fairly simple. Does anyone have any questions on borrower photos? Okay. In that case...
Other than schools, do you think the public libraries are going to do something like this?
Okay, I was asked if the public libraries are interested in doing something for this. I cannot speak for all the public libraries, but I do know there is a ticket in the help desk from about a year ago from the Austin Public Library saying they would really love to be a test location for this because they want to do it.
We're rolling out some photos I'm going to talk about later in the day.
And there we go. And, oh, sure.
We're using it in a very innovative way.
I just wanted to add something to that. I can't speak to what the libraries are doing, but I do want to share a personal experience as to why I'm excited about this. Now, I don't even have to say this because it's obvious from my physique, but I used to go to the gym a long, long, long time ago. And it was Northgate here in Rochester. And they gave me a little membership card, which was one of about 800 membership cards that I had. I obviously didn't carry it around a whole lot. Their policy was, if you let us take your picture, and they had a little webcam, much like what we're doing, and put it in our database, you don't need to bring your card. We'll be able to see who you are. You're good to go. If you don't want to do that, you don't have to. People get kind of funky about privacy. Not everyone wants their picture taken. That's okay. But then you have to bring your card. Without the card, you're not getting in to use the gym. Period. End of story. To me, that's how public libraries could use this. Because let's face it, when people don't bring their cards, you got to worry about, are they really who they say they are? You're going to ask for their phone number or, God forbid, their social security number or something like that to verify who they are. Takes time at the desk. Photos right there. So that to me is one very practical scenario where this could help a public library today. There's probably others, but that's just the one I happen to know about. So just my experience.
Okay, anything else about borrower photos for now? Okay, and then Cheryl. Did she disappear?
I'm here.
Oh, there you are.
I think I was.
You're behind all those books. No, you wanted to show them how to change that.
Oh, yeah.
So that is from File, where is it again?
Change workstation. Which one are you showing?
The Citrix bit to email.
Oh, tools, options,
Oh, tools?
change receipt options.
Change receipt
Yeah,
options.
you have to be in like a check-in or a check-out window. It doesn't show up in every window. Usually I'm in a check-out window.
And then you need to check this box to allow emailing of checkout receipts.
Yeah.
each Citrix login, not Horizon login, Citrix login.
Gotcha.